Hello everybody, welcome back to another live stream on the internet. I mean, the 2021 Game Room Tour. And today, I'm going to be showing you my game room in 2021. Isn't that just amazing? I know. So, you know what? We might as well start right here, where, all the stuff gets recorded. So you may know this place as where I record all my live streams, with the green screen and all that. But this is where all the consoles are, and the TVs. So, as you can see, I have about 12 or 13 consoles, depending on how you look at it, because I have the Genesis Mini, which, you can count as a console, but I mainly use it for emulation for certain games, So the consoles I have set up are the original Xbox, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Nintendo 64, the GameCube, the Wii U, of course, one of my favorites. We have the Switch, the Xbox One, the Xbox Series S, the Retron 5, and the PlayStation 2, and the Genesis Mini, if you consider that a console. And if you're wondering why I have some of the consoles I didn't have set up in my last setup tour, that's just because I wanted this setup to be a lot simpler. As you can see, I have a lot of the wires bundled. I'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, as you can see, this setup's definitely a lot more simple, and it's made my life a lot easier, as you can definitely see. Oh, and if you're wondering about these shelves, they're just random plastic shelves I've had lying around for a while. And so as you can see, I have this big massive bundle of wires, and it basically takes every single console and plugs it into the TV above. So as you can see, I have all the Xbox and whatever, and they're all plugged in relatively neatly using a bunch of Velcro, all the way into this massive bundle of wires, including the power too for some of them. And it goes into my PVM, which is the first PVM and only PVM I've ever owned. It's a JVC1400SU. I love it. It's a great PVM because it basically makes composite look as good as it can, and it's gonna be years until I upgrade from composite, because it's kind of expensive to have anything above composite, especially modding your consoles. So, as you can see on top, I have a soundbar that is plugged in to my capture card over with my computer, and it basically has a headphone jack to whatever that composite audio thing is. I'm just using a long component cable. It sounds a lot better than the PVM because it has that little teeny speaker, and it's just really bad. And sometimes it uses that bigger TV, but it's not aligned with it, so sometimes it's not very good. On the top, you can see I have this power strip with individual switches, which is really nice to plug in. I can plug in over 12 things, well, exactly 12 things, because there's 6 inputs, but then I have these extensions that also add inputs, and I'm not using too much power because since there's switches, I can just turn on and off things individually, and also, I can have 2 things plugged into one and it won't matter, because it's not like all 12 things are on at once. Under that, you can see this big switcher, which I mainly use now just to hold it up there, just through, not pulling it off. I don't feel like explaining how that works. Just kind of the center of gravity, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, it broke though, so yeah, that's why I only use it for that. Although it is pretty cool with those labels. I actually made some custom ones, as you can see. But I use this 8-way Panlong, I think it's called, 8-way switcher. It just barely has enough plugs for everything I own, so I'm gonna have to use another composite switcher, which I actually do have one in those white drawers back there. The only other thing that has composite that I might want to plug in is this Atari thing. But since I own an Atari 2600 and literally all the games I want for it, it doesn't matter, because that little one doesn't even have ET for the Atari 2600. So yeah, it's a very nice PVM. I use it for a lot of stuff like that, and it's very handy, so yeah. And as you can see, here is my 55-inch Westinghouse television. It is the perfect size for this room, and actually has really good lighting, therefore it's actually really nice to see from my chair across the room, as you can see. It's a lot more comfortable than you'd think, and as you can see, I took out the hi-fi setup from last time because the speakers didn't sound too good, especially for voices, and I'm just using it to hold up the TV right now. So right now I'm just using the modern TV speakers for the modern things, and the soundbar for the retro games because the PVM doesn't sound too good. So as you can see, for the consoles, they all go through this massive wires held together by random Velcro I've had around the house, and as you can see, they go into this composite switcher, which inputs 8, which is just enough for all my consoles, although I do have another one that I can use to daisy chain them together if I need to. They output into this composite splitter, which puts one into the upscaler and one into the PVM. For me, the the upscaler, which is what you see in the streams, actually goes into this really cheap composite to HDMI adapter. I just use it for stuff, streaming and whatever, occasionally for games. The M Classic is the only thing that can put it into 4x3. So yeah, this is just my bad janky setup for right now. It works. One upscales it, and the other just puts it into the correct resolution, and also kind of makes it a little less bad looking. As you can see, all the HDMI stuff from the HDMI consoles and the upscaled retro ones go into this powered switcher with a fun remote that really helps me switch stuff better. As you can see, there is the audio, I'll talk about that later, and there is a second HDMI switch, and it can automatically switch because it does have enough power because the other switcher is powered. It's because I need to plug in 8 HDMI things as opposed to 5. What are you gonna do? But I do have another that I can also plug in and it'll still work. Not to the other one, obviously. Now, all these cables run into the computer. As you can see, we got Ethernet, we got power, and all that. Ethernet's very handy for this computer because it can't live stream without it and also crashes all the time without it. My early streams actually didn't have Ethernet, and that's why they were so laggy and crashed a lot. And yeah, so basically all the power for the Lenovo laptop, the audio actually comes out of the capture card and into that soundbar, so I can use it for everything. And I actually use this extension in order to extend my webcam, which is what I use for my streams. Oh, and if you're wondering what the Velcro used to hold the cables together is, it's just this stuff that's wrapped together and has a thing to hold it through to hold all these darn cables together. It's just your standard Velcro. Okay, and let's start on the shelves. These are just some $11 Walmart shelves. As you can see, one's black and one's gray. I just got them at Walmart at different times and I never had the correct color, but I don't really care. So you can see I'm running out of space because there's like PlayStation stuff and the Super Nintendo stuff, but I just kind of stacked them together and they work for now, but I do need more space soon. As you can see, it's just random stuff mixed in everywhere and it's a lot of a mess. And while I show you the walls, if you have heard any hammering or whatever in the background, that's because as of the time of me recording this, I am getting my roof fixed, and there's all these guys on the roof hammering away, and you can hear it just as well in the basement, so whatever. Okay, and now we will talk about the shelving. Isn't that great? Here's what it looks like if you're just looking at it on the other side of the room. As you can see up here is a bunch of junk I never bothered to organize, and my Nintendo Labos that I don't want to finish. Anyway, on this first shelf we have the Atari 2600 games. As you can see, I have Centipede, E.T., all the must-haves, as we all know, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, they're all very nice games. I try to display them as well as I can. And yeah, I play them on that Atari over there. Yeah, fun little guy, although the Zenith and stuff isn't actually hooked up at the moment. NES games, pretty self-explanatory. I try to display them as good as I can. Got some Nintendo eShop cards. Super Nintendo and N64 stuff with the Wii Fit Plus thing in the background. Pretty self-explanatory also. Original Xbox games and a bunch of other RAM stuff. Also pretty self-explanatory. Remote controller for the NES and all that. We got some GameCube games, Xbox 360 games, and two PlayStation 2 games here, also pretty self-explanatory, and then the Wii games, which I've not really displayed at all, because they're on the ground, and I don't want them to stick out on the ground, because I might hit them, and then who knows what'll happen then. We also have the Wii U shelf with a bunch of Carl the Mushrooms, and a star there with my Wii U games. And actually, if you look on top, there are a bunch of Game Boy Advance games back there that I don't know how to display at the moment, although I'll come up with something eventually. We have Xbox One and Nintendo DS games here. The Xbox One stuff has just been pushed over here, but I do have it in generally chronological order. Switch stuff, pretty self-explanatory. My mom's Switch Lite and my sister's Joy-Cons, they're there, boxes and whatever. Game Boy hang-up thing. We got my Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. Only one Game Boy Color game, actually, but you get the point. And then a bunch of RAM VHSs with a Xbox gift card that has been used. I should probably put out the Xbox One games, but I don't know. Right here we have PlayStation 1 stuff, music stuff, CDs in general. Got my gaming books. You can look at those. All very nice books, I'd like to say. Especially Nintendo Powers. My custom stand with my handheld consoles of sorts and Wii U controller. My Game Boy and Game Boy Micro shelves. This rare console shelf. Very nice. I'm proud of that. And we got a bunch of junk and a record player that I get to use below that. The junk is just used randomly throughout the day, and I just kind of have a shelf for that. And that, my friends, is the Game Room 2021 room tour thingy. Sorry this game thing has come out late, but you know, I'm not the best at editing, and I don't find it very enjoyable all the time, which is why I love streaming so much. But it doesn't matter, because I got it out. So, bye-bye.